1, 2. All right. What I'll do. Let's start it again. Okay. So for the team there, let's start it again. For some reason, we had a sound issue. It looks like it's kicked in. Let's get going. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Russell Markham. I'm the Director of Education for VectorVest Asia Pacific. It's a pleasure to have all of you along today. 5G revolution. Get yourself informed and ready to take advantage. Okay. So 5G stocks are proving to be an exciting new technology that will change the way that we use internet and how we work. I'm going to show you this very important factor in the presentation today. The idea of the presentation today is to ensure that you're informed as to the growth that's taking place. Okay, so I'm going to set out the arguments for that. So 5G stocks are proving to be an exciting new technology that will change the way that we use internet, and 5G will be up to 10 times faster than 4G. And with that higher speed comes great opportunity. So fast access to remote software. So you're going to get fast access to remote software, which in turn is going to allow for you to do certain things. Because unless you can get faster access to given software, you're not going to be able to do certain things. So Qualcomm in America, QAL is the ticker code, reports that 22.8 million jobs will be created in the next 15 years as a result of the 5G rollout. All right, so that's massive, you know, that's a huge amount of jobs. Just that factor alone is telling you this industry is going to be significant. So let's say now we're on 5G, we get access to the faster software. What are the certain things that we can do? So we can do remote actions. That's the whole point of 5G. So we can do certain things with our software. So we can do things like operate machinery via remote, robotic surgery, real-time monitoring, and vehicle driving. Okay, so the argument I give on robotic surgery is you go along to your surgery for the given day, and the surgeon says to you, well, look, sorry, you know, due to unforeseen circumstances, you know, my other surgery assistant cannot come along today, and as such, we're not going to be able to do the surgery. But don't worry, we have another option if you consent. Would you like to go to our robotic operating theatre? Sign the forms here as long as you consent, and I'm going to have, you know, surgeon X in country Y, who's on standby right now to do the surgery via remote, and they're highly experienced and they will do an excellent job via robotic surgery. All right, not everybody's going to want robotic surgery. All right, so a few of us will say, well, look, no, I still prefer a human to do it, although a human is doing it via machinery. But some people just say, no, I don't want machines operating on me. I think that's all going to change from what I've been reading in the years and months that will follow. I think it will become a foregone conclusion in years to come where going in and being operated on via a machine, via somebody operating that machine, whether it be locally or from around the world, it will just become a given. It's already taking place. But as time goes on, I suspect it will become a lot more prevalent. And we see in Australia machinery being operated via real time. For example, vehicle driving, we're seeing that in the mines in Western Australia. A few companies like BHP and Rio, they're operating certain machinery via remote control. Okay, so here's a great summary of all the 5G use cases out there. And I thought this was fascinating. You've got human to human interaction, you've got human to machine, you've got machine to machine. All right, if you've ever seen what's taking place in the computer game world, it's pretty big out there. There's a virtual reality type sort of world of computer games out there, but it's also spilled over now into many other applications. So, for example, I was reading the other day, and it's probably been around for quite some time, but it becomes more common now. If you're wanting to renovate your house, for example, you can go to certain software and it'll redesign based on your requirements, and then you can virtually walk around before you give the plans to the builder. You walk around and go, oh, hang on, no, I don't want the bookshelf, inbuilt bookshelf quite there, and hang on, I don't want the window quite there, I want it there. This is all becoming possible now because of the high speed internet that's being provided. It works seamlessly, whereas in the past with slow internet connections, it became a painful process to do anything via virtual reality. It will now be very smooth, very seamless. Video calling virtual meetings. Well, we're doing that right now, aren't we? All right, so we're using the power of that technology right now. And with COVID and whatever have you, I think virtual meetings now are almost becoming a given, accepted part of our society, whereas, 10 years ago, it was rude not to attend live in a meeting, was it not? You'd get managers who'd be upset, so, oh, I don't do video calling, come on, we've got to meet in person. Right, that's changing now. I've noticed that video meetings are now becoming more of the accepted norm. All right, so you've got things like fixed wireless, ultra high definition video, video monitoring. This is big one here, mobile cloud computing. Lots of businesses out there are putting their valuable information on the cloud. Sure, you read the horror stories about, hackers hacking data and potentially exposing it to the world and bribing businesses in order for them not to do so. But despite the negative stories, you've got to remember that that makes up a very, very small proportion of the bad case stories, right? 95 to 99% of the cases out there with mobile cloud computing is revolutionary. It makes a big change to the way we operate. It makes a big change to the way a lot of businesses can conduct their business. So it's a very exciting area, and it'll only improve further. Wearables, this one here I was researching up, and I was fascinated because wearables are going to tie in to vehicle and vehicle to pedestrian type technology, whereby you can have a pedestrian who has a wearable, he or she has a wearable device, the car pulls out, operated by a human, and this is where it's going, right? And the human is not having a good day, not concentrating, maybe doing something that shouldn't be in the car, looking at their mobile phone, and all of a sudden the pedestrian steps out, not expecting the human driver not to be paying attention, and the car automatically brakes and avoids hitting the pedestrian. That's becoming a reality. It will become a reality. I wouldn't be surprised in years to come that a certain section of road automatically applies that technology, like schools and hospitals and other such areas where potentially you can have vulnerable people. All right, so it might be compulsory in years to come where your vehicle must have a 5G device, and everybody in attendance at that school or hospital, for example, must have a wearable device such that being hit by a car becomes something of for the history books. It's no longer something that takes place. All right, we've got public safety. Think about it real time, certain things taking place. The alerts go out in real time, and our professionals can get to the scene very quickly. All right, we spoke about remote surgery, so that's really interesting. And vehicle to vehicle, that's going to be interesting. So if we're starting to have these driverless cars, which are starting to become a reality in the years to come, they've got to speak to each other as well to make sure that there are no issues. Okay, and industrial automation. So no longer do you have to have an office right next to your factory. You might be operating that factory via remote thanks to the fast internet speeds on offer. So faster speeds will allow for future technologies such as driverless cars. The future of high-speed internet will open further possibilities. All right, so just put that in there just to sort of close that out. So numerous statistics have been sourced that point towards growth. So here are some of these statistics I'm going to share with you. Very illuminating and fascinating. All right, so here we go. Here's the first one. How fast is 5G? Okay, so how fast is this 5G technology? Well, in Australia, you can see at the moment the average 4G, so this is 4G versus 5G. The average 4G internet speed is 43 megabits per second. It's pretty fast. But look at this, the 5G is going to come out to be 215. Okay, so five-fold increase. Five-fold increase brings about a lot of new possibilities. Okay, so you can see around the world here, you can see the other statistics around the world. So you can see Australia is going to have some pretty potent internet by world standards. Very impressive. All right, here's another very interesting statistic. Number of active mobile broadband subscriptions worldwide. So forget 5G, this is broadband subscriptions. So you can have a broadband subscription, whether it be on your phone, your computer, whatever it might be. 6.38 billion. So a lot of the world is connected, right? There's what, over 9 billion people in the world. So most of the world is on a, or at least has a broadband connection of some sort. Of course, this statistic, you'd have to question it to some extent, because yes, you've got 6.38 billion connections, but a lot of people have more than one connection. All right, so it doesn't mean it's 6.38 billion people, but still, you can see there are a lot of connections out there. Forecasted number of 5G subscriptions worldwide in 2023. At the moment, that figure is, barely recognizable. It's a tiny figure. By 2023, up it goes to 1.3 billion. All right, so you can see huge growth in the pipeline. And then by 2023, share of 5G enabled smartphone shipments. So a lot of companies there are getting into the 5G space. They're seeing the future, and 51%, over half of all 5G enabled smartphone shipments will be, well, should I say, smartphone shipments will be 5G. All right, so big change taking place. All right, here's another interesting statistic, 5G mobile handsets. So here we are in 2021, so in millions, just over 200 million. And look at this, by 2023, there we go. All right, over 500 million will be in use. Okay, so all the shipments coming in, all the sales taking place. Have you been down to a recent mobile phone shop recently? All right, so in Australia, if you've gone down to the Telstra store, the Optus store, or the Vodafone store, have you noticed that just about all the phones on offer now are 5G, or at least all the new fancy ones? Okay, so if you speak to the sales rep, they'll be telling you, if you can afford it, go for the 5G phone. It's the way of the future. Don't get stuck with a 4G phone. If you're looking to hold your phone for the next 2 or 3 years, you want a 5G. At least that's what I've been told at the stores. Okay, so interesting. It ties back into that research. All right, here we go. Another very interesting statistic. Look at this. So here's 2G, 3G, and 4G. All right, so this over here, this is traffic generated by fixed wireless access. So it notes this does not include traffic generated fixed wireless access. All right, so we take that out. But this is 2G, 3G, and 4G taking place here. Look at the market share of 5G, which is forecast to come in. So you can see, although 2G, 3G, 4G is going to be still growing, there'll still be a place for it. It's not nearly as impressive as the growth that's going to be starting to take place, is taking place on 5G. Okay, so it's not to say that there won't be a place for 2G, 3G, 4G, but let me ask you this question for those of you in attendance today. How many of you still have a 2G or 3G phone? I'd say very few of you in attendance today, most likely. All right, I notice, for example, if I go out to a remote part of Australia, for example, my phone will lose 4G connection and will revert to a 3G connection. And I'll see a little icon popping up on my smartphone saying I've reverted to 3G, and you can hear a audible groan. Oh no, here we go, because I'm going to have really slow internet now, right? All right, so I like it when I get into hotspots where I can get back onto the 4G network. Well, you can imagine in the years to come, right? It's going to be a game changer. You can imagine the kids will be groaning when the phone's gone from a 5G notification on the phone to say, oh, sorry, we've had to revert to 4G. Oh, great, I've gone to slow internet connection. I've gone to the 4G. Whereas I would be going, yeah, I'm happy with the 4G. Right, but you see how times are changing. I remember when I thought 3G was fast. Then 4G came in and it's like, wow, can't live without it. The same's going to happen when 5G is rolling out. Okay, so 5G infrastructure market size. So from 215 to 226, this is what is forecast to be spent. So this is the infrastructure spend in here, okay? So this is in millions. You can see over here, don't get too bogged down by the numbers. It's more the trend I'm wanting to show you here. The forecasts out there are basically saying there's going to be a huge amount of capital infrastructure spend on 5G. So you can see that, back in 2018, that was in millions, 720 million. Look, by 2026, 50,640 million. All right, so a massive number there. All right, so you can see that change taking place just in the forecast alone. So where will 5G have the biggest impact? Now, I showed you that very interesting slide earlier where we saw, the robotic surgery, the, vehicle-to-vehicle monitoring, remote monitoring, all those key diagrammatic representations of where 5G is going to be used. But I guess the question in a lot of your minds is to say, well, some of that stuff looks interesting, but really, do you think it's going to be much of an uptake? Surely not. I don't really see myself wanting to get into a driverless car or whatever have you, or go and get robotic surgery. All right, fair enough. Well, let's see what the forecasts out there, the technology experts are noting. Well, they're noting that automotive is going to be big in the 5G space. Not necessarily driverless cars, but you can see, for example, if you look at Tesla cars, you read the articles out there, they're basically saying it's an amazing electronic gadget on wheels. It does just about everything. When you park the car at night, it updates its software, it sends you notifications about repairs that need to be made to the vehicle. It can tell you all sorts of things, right? And all the apps that continue to be added to those Tesla vehicles. It's just amazing. It's more a matter of what can it do, all right? So amazing technology taking place in the automotive space. Cloud services. This is big because of corporations, all right? Corporations need those cloud services. And as such, that's why it's such a big business. Manufacturing. Well, manufacturing there, tying in. Then we've got retail, logistics, transportation, online gaming, healthcare. I was surprised by healthcare. I thought it would have been further up the list. I guess it goes with my initial gut feeling to say, well, do I prefer somebody operating on me using robotics or in person? All right, so I suspect that will change as perceptions towards robotic surgery and the likes change, and then energy as well is accounting for a bit there too. All right, let's move on a bit more, and I'm sorry that the slide's a wee bit blurry. It's the best I could do to bring it up, but I didn't want to not include it because it was so important. All right, so 5G infrastructure market by region. So this is where the changes are going to take place. Now, this is interesting. By 2026, 2027, it looks like Europe is going to be the key beneficiary for 5G infrastructure. All right, and you've got Asia Pacific and you've got North America. All right, so they're the major players, and then you've got rest of the world. Now, Asia Pacific, Australia, for our Australian attendees today, this is where we fall in here. But you can see that it's growing. It's that green area of graph here on the bar. It's certainly growing, but there's a huge uptake in Europe and North America as well, at least for infrastructure investments and spend. 5G connections and share of total cellular connections worldwide. So here's another source for you to consider, another forecast out there. I thought it would be interesting to throw in some further forecasts. So 5G connections and share of total cellular connections worldwide. So you can see the trend. I'm not going to get too bogged down by the numbers. It's more the trend I'm after. That trend, look at that, from 0.3 all the way up to 2.7. That's big growth. It's what, 7-8-fold growth. Okay, 9-fold growth. So you can see the evidence is all pointing towards big growth. Now what we do in VectorVest is we give you access to all these great 5G network stocks. You can screen them for fundamental and technical analysis. We allow you to back test them and stress test them. See what you think of certain strategies, so you can design and implement certain 5G strategies, test them before you were to consider committing any of your hard-earned money to those strategies. So Australia is catching up to the US in terms of adoption. I'll go to that watch list shortly in VectorVest. I just want you to be aware of it. So if you're new to VectorVest or you're not too sure what all this entails, at the end there, I'll provide you a link. You can always take out a trial to VectorVest. You can trial out VectorVest for 30 days and you get access to all of this here. But what I want to point out is Australia is catching up to the US in terms of adoption. We are lower in the adoption curve in the US market currently, but we are starting to catch up. Okay, so Asia Pacific 5G subscriptions in thousands. So you can see again the trend, right? So we're really going to start cranking up shortly. At the moment, we've got about 100,000 5G connections. That's what statistics are telling us, around about that 100,000 mark. But look at this, by 2024, 1.1 million and growing. All right, that's big, big uptake. And there's going to be certain companies that are going to benefit significantly from it. Your job as an investor is to identify those companies and to benefit from those macro changes taking place. The good news is that VectorVest, I'm going to point out one or two for you to consider. Now again, please, this is not advice. I'm not licensed to give advice. You need to speak to your financial professional for advice. I'm going to use the power of VectorVest to show you some of the best fundamental and technical 5G stocks, not just in Australia, but in the US as well. Okay, so here's one I wanted to point out. All right, United Wireless. All right, so United Wireless, ticker code UWL. Now in VectorVest, to differentiate it from other countries, we've got .AX. It tells us this is for Australia. All right, United Wireless, you can see it. Look at this over here. This is EPS, earnings per share. This is the earnings of the company. Now, this earnings per share will not agree with your broker, Bloomberg or Thomson Reuters, whoever it might be. This is a proprietary 12-month leading forecast in earnings. What I'm wanting to see with companies when I'm coming in to buy, all right, and we'll cover this in later hot topics of interest, and that is I want to see earnings growing, forecast earnings on the rise. Look at this, VectorVest picked it here. Big change because of the 5G revolution taking place. All right, so big uplift in the earnings, up they go. Look at the share price. Share price goes from $1.50 well over $2.50 now, $2.50. So that's what I'm wanting to see. There's some evidence that this 5G revolution's in play. So UWL is in the game of fiber and wireless technology, all to do with, heavily to do with 5G. Here's another one. So you might want to jot this one down. So if you missed the last one, UWL, jot that down. See what you think of that one. TPC, still pretty early days. This company's fairly new, but wow, look at the phenomenal growth this company is experiencing. Huge uplift in the earnings, massive, literally flat line, came out of nowhere, up it comes. Now, for those who have been following the 5G network space, this would not surprise you at all. All right, but for those of you that are new, you'll say, oh, hang on, how did those earnings rocket up from nowhere? It's a 5G story in play here. So massive uplift in the earnings, and the share price goes from sub 2 to around about $4. Okay, so big changes there. So TPC, Consolidated Limited, engages in the provision of prepaid mobile and related services. It also is in retail electricity and gas services to residential and businesses. It operates through energy services and telecommunications services segments. So again, it's this 5G technology. You know, gas services, electricity services. I once worked in the oil and gas field industry, and you know, a big money saver for the electricity companies was to have those smart meters that would automatically provide us the information such that we could get our billing done correctly, our forecasts for gas requirements for the injection of gas into certain pipelines to maintain certain pressures, etc., etc., etc. This all relied on timely information. So I recall when I worked in the oil and gas industry, I used to have an analyst that would help me, and he would write lots and lots of computer code to pull out lots and lots of different string sets of data, which I would then analyze as a financial analyst in order to make timely and correct decisions on that data. So we turn the data into valuable information. Okay, so how does our total 5G network space look at the moment in Australia? So what I've done is I've gone and looked at all the 5G stocks that we currently track here at VectorVest for Australia. And you'll see over here, you look at this and you go, oh, hang on. So this is the total amount going back since 2012. You can see it's a fairly anemic, sickly looking graph, but look more closely what's taking place here. Here we go. So this, it was kind of like a pipeline dream, so to speak, at that stage. You know, there was talk of the 5G revolution, but it sat dormant for quite some time. All of a sudden, whoop, up it goes. It's on its way. So let's zoom it in a bit. Here we go. So when I zoom it in now, from June 2019 to where we are in May of 2021, look at this, big turnaround in play here. Big uplift in the earnings starting to take place. So just be aware of it. There's a change going on in the 5G space, a big change going on. All right, so I got to work a little bit more, and I thought I would benchmark some of these key stocks out there. All right, now again, it's up to you. You can jot those stocks down if you choose. Up to you. but I just wanted to point out a couple of key ones here. So here we go. Let's have a look. So you can see over here, you've got some real performers over here. All right, and you can see per the color coding here. Let's have a look here. VN8, I think that's VN8, or is it HFY? I think it's HFY. That's HFY ticker codes. That's done pretty well. TPC, that's the one we just had a look at. Look at that. Look at the huge growth on TPC at the moment. All right, so that's really interesting to see. And there's FSG. That's FSG. Look at that. Wow, massive uplift there. So some of the hottest 5G stocks at the moment are FSG. I think it's HFY. That's the one there. HFSY. Or should I say HFY? So HFY and FSG. Very hot property at the moment in that space, followed by TPC. So what I've done on this graph is it's just benchmarking relative performance against each other. So you can see all the different ones benchmarked against each other, and there are your standout performers. So there we go. Just by coming to this webcast alone, jot down these codes: TPC, HFY. Jot those ones down. So TPC, HFY, and what was the other one there? Yeah, TPC, HFY, and FSG. Jot down FSG. All right, have a look more closely at those, see what you think of them. All right, so here we go. Here are some of the other ones here. So top 5G performance from 1 July 2020 to 21. So there we are. I cheated on this slide by jotting them down prior, because when you look at the color code, it can be, when you've got a lot on there, can be a bit tricky, but here they are. So FSG, TPC, FRX, UWL. What I've done here is I went back a wee bit in time, okay, and you can double check those and see how they're stacking up. But I'm not too concerned about the exact numbers here. Things will change as time goes on. I'm more after the top performers. So here it is right up until May 2021. Here it is. I've just gone from the calendar year July through to the end of December, and then I'll update it to 30 June once June comes into play. So some very good performers. In VectorVest Australia, so if you take out a trial, if you're currently a subscriber, in our Views tab, if you click on Special Reports, I've put in a very useful report called Top 5G Stocks. So top 5 5G stocks. Now, don't be disappointed. None of the stocks in there are Australian stocks. They are all US stocks for good reason. If you've been impressed with what you've seen in Australia, hold on to your hats, because America is going to turbocharge what you've just seen. All right, so the revolution is in full swing in the US. Is not to say that this is not going to get very exciting in the 5G space in Australia. It already is. It's starting to heat up. You're in the early stages of it. So depends how patient you want to be. Australia is still in the early stages. The US is more advanced. So here we go. I've put the US flag now to show you. In the US, we have a 5G watch list in the US. And this is the overall snapshot of that 5G watch list in the US. This is interesting. Look at the earnings in the US on those stocks on average. So this is the total amount of stocks that we track. Those earnings are going gangbusters. Rising earnings, rising share prices. All right, so this is our 12-month proprietary leading forecast and earnings. Here are our earnings. This is our net profit margin on those 5G stocks in the US. So net profit margin means for every $1 of sale you make, $1 of sales you make, what are you keeping as profit? So in the US, you can see we are keeping just shy of 30 cents in the dollar for every $1 of sales. Wow. Can you imagine having a business, for every $1 of sales that you make, you keep 30 cents profit? That is printing money. Now, no point having a business where you go, okay, well, that's great. You know, I'm getting 30 cents in the dollar, but I don't sell a lot. Well, you know, you need to sell a lot in order to really make it worthwhile. Well, here we go. In the US, sales, this is in thousands, I believe it is, or millions, should I say. This is in millions, beg your pardon. So that's $60,000 million worth of sales, of which on average the 5G companies are making 30 cents in the dollar. All right, so let's drill in a bit more here. Okay, so in recent times, I've drilled in, there's the exact figure, 28.17%. All right, 28.17%. Right, so, and there's your sales, huge amounts of sales taking place in the 5G space. So the growth story is well and truly intact. There it all is again. Okay, so what are some of the standout performers? Amazon. Now, if you've been saying, well, hang on, Russell, Amazon's not in the 5G space. Yes, it is. Amazon, believe it or not, is big time into the 5G space via cloud service offerings for businesses. Okay, so sure, they sell all the goods and services that you see, on the website. A lot of people think, yeah, that's what they do. They sell goods and services, but they're also in lots of different industries out there as well. All right, so one of the services that they sell is 5G cloud-based services. All right, so here we go. So Amazon has a partnership with Verizon. So in the US, you might want to check out that ticker code. It's VZ. All right, the partnership is offering 5G computing services through Amazon's cloud services. The services offered is called AWS Wavelength. AWS Wavelength. Read more about it per this link. So if you want, just Google it up. Just type in, Amazon plus AWS Wavelength, and you can read up all about it. So plenty going on in that space. Next one here, Broadcom Limited, AVGO, Broadcom. Let's drill in a bit more into this company here. Beautiful set of earnings, so really cranking up the share price. And we have a look here. Broadcom Limited is a semiconductor manufacturer producing key components for 5G devices. So here's the thing, to benefit from 5G, a lot of your businesses don't just necessarily have to, be in the space of cloud-based services or remote software type services. They can also be the very companies that are building the components. So a lot of these semiconductor businesses are making small fortunes because they are developing all the key components for 5G. Right, so they're in a very good position at the moment to benefit from the 5G. It's not like a government or a business or whoever it might be rolling out 5G infrastructure can say, well, actually, sorry, you're too expensive, we're going to go elsewhere. There's very few in this space. Okay, so they kind of do command somewhat of a monopoly, some of them. All right, so here it is, Qualcomm. All right, there's another one, Qualcomm, look at that. Massive uplift in the earnings, huge, significant. Something is going on here. You got it. It's the 5G revolution in play. You're seeing it on the earnings. Prior to that, it was a bit sort of anemic, and then in come the contracts and whatever have you for 5G, and up it goes. Right? Share price goes from around about 40, 50 bucks to 140 odd dollars. All right. Qualcomm is involved in semiconductors, another semiconductor, but also in software, telecommunications, and wireless technology. QUAL, ticker code, is at the forefront of new technologies driving 5G. So another one, jot that one down. Here's a hot stock for the US to consider. QUAL. Here we are. Now in the US, there were many 5G stocks, so I wasn't able to screenshot them all. And I don't want to give you every single stock, because I do, for those of you that are new to VectorVest, I want you to take out a trial, because if you take out a trial, you can get all of this and a lot more at your fingertips. All right, I'm just giving you just a taste of what we do. I want to empower you so you can make money year in and year out, finding these hot themes and topics. All right, so here's just a few of them, and you can see how they're jumping out. NVIDIA, now they don't just make computer game chips, for graphic cards. All right, they're in the 5G space. They're in lots of different services, cloud-based services out there. So you can see NVIDIA. There's Qualcomm. All right, another massive performer. NVIDIA, Qualcomm, and then you can see over here AVGO and Amazon. All right, around out at third and fourth spots. So AVGO third and Amazon, or pretty much neck and neck, third and fourth effectively tie. You can see the performance. This is in percent, right? So you can see just how significant, all right, how significant that price appreciation has been. And you go and you look at this over here, and you go and look at all the given companies over here, and there's some big name companies here, but look how they've been dwarfed by NVIDIA and the likes. So there's the evidence. There's big change going on out there. Okay, so what I did is I got to work in VectorVest, and I just did a simple back test. I tweaked a few parameters and try to see how some of those 5G stocks would have stacked up over the last couple of years. So if you take out a trial to VectorVest, hit me up on the email, you'll get all the details. Hit me up on email. I'm happy to share all these parameters with you on how I derive this backtest. I don't want to give away all the trade secrets today on this. I do want to entice you to come along and find out more, but here we go. Here's a portfolio. Right now, it's averaging just over 40% returns here on average with fairly low drawdown. So what does drawdown mean? It's the most it ever loses from a peak to trough cycle. Would you like a portfolio that looks like along these lines? Just to be clear, we're not brokers, we're not fund managers, right? We provide you great tools so you can do your research. We give you great ideas. We share with you great portfolios, and then you can consider if you choose, all right? So this is one here that I currently personally follow right now, full disclosure. All right, so here's a snapshot on how some of those stocks have played out. And again, I just want to point out some of the names here. NVIDIA, Amazon, NOK, Nokia, MU, Micro Technology, and Tencent, TCEHY, ticker code. And you can see just how some of those performances have gone along in recent months and years. Okay, so just pointing out the significant upside in the space at the moment. All right, so I'm going to skip through those settings because I do want you to hit me up so we can effectively get you on track to using the system and to the best of your ability so you can start making some good money. Okay, just double checking all the technology. Yes, everything's going well. So in the US, we have this overview watch list called 5G. Okay, so there we are. So any of you wanted those settings, once you take out a trial, Russell Markham at VectorVest.com. Now what I'll do here is I'm going to go into VectorVest's homepage. The last thing I'll leave you with here is to hop along into the homepage, and then I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek in VectorVest as well. But let's just do this. I'll bring it along here to the live screen. It should be coming across. There we are. I believe we are now seeing it. There we are. Okay. So if you want to take it a trial, risk-free trial. All right. So this is why you can do it. In your links and all the email marketing we've given you out as well, there are links there to take it a trial. But you see what I did there? VectorVest.com.au. Click on risk-free trial, and away you go. You can sign up. $10 US, call it 13 Australian dollars, and we'll give you access to everything that you've seen today and more. Okay, it is a brilliant system. So what I'll do here is I'll minimize back out of here, and let's do this. Let's jump into Australia. So here we are for Australia, just making sure, yep, it's all working. So here's the back test I did for Australia. Annualizing 12% returns here on average at the moment with very low drawdown. Right, so this one here, I'll show you the current holdings. All right, so I can show you exactly how that's all stress tested and how it's being done. Okay, so just want to give you a bit of a sneak peek there. I'm not going to give you all the trade secrets. It's just a bit of a snapshot. Here we are for the US. Let's do this. Let's go into our back tests. All right, so what I've done here is I've done a couple of back tests, and here is 5G stocks. So there you are. There's the one that's doing 42% returns and doesn't do a lot of trades, only doing about one trade a month. All right, and you can effectively follow that each and every day. So let's see, let's give you a sneak peek. Here we are. There's the 10 holdings currently, so Microsoft, Google, etc., etc., etc. So you might get a chance to jot a few of those down. Going, gone. All right, so a bit of a teaser there, but there we are. So drop me an email. Do you want to know the settings for that? I'll share that with you. So in the views here, you'll see, oh, shall I say, in the viewers here, you've got a watch list viewer, and in here you've got a 5G watch list viewer. Right, so there is overview watch list 5G. I'm only showing the top 5 because I don't want to give away all the trade secrets today. All right, so our subscribers, you know where to go. You can see all of them. Here are 5 for now. Okay, and if I go back to Australia, we're just about finished here, and let's go to, what we'll do here, we'll go to viewers, and we'll go to watch list viewer, and then we've got a 5G watch list. All right, so I'll just open it all up. There it is, 5G. Okay, so to our subscribers, it's under special watch lists. All right, again, I'm just showing 5 out of the 18. All right, so we've got 18 that really stand out at the moment in terms of key drivers behind 5G. All right, so I hope you got a lot out of it. Let's minimize this. Let's put the slide back on at the end there. Give us a call, 1-800-303-702, our product support team. If you want to take out a trial, you can always email me. I'll give you the settings for 5G if you would like them. And you can always email support@vectorvest.com. Okay, and make sure that you go along to www.vectorvest.com.au, where you can effectively then take out the trials. There we are, vectorvest.com.au. Click on risk-free trial. All right, well, that just about wraps it up. Hope you got a lot out of it. I must make sure I turn off the YouTube broadcast. All right, so I'll make sure I turn off YouTube broadcast. Thanks for everybody who attended live today. Hope you got a lot out of it. Look forward to hearing from you on email. And for those of you that take it a trial, do it. You won't regret it. You'll get so much out of it. All right, until the next hot topics of interest, I believe at the same time, same place next week. So it's next week. We've got another great topic. I'll send you more information on that shortly. Have a great weekend, everybody.